The latest Cooper Kupp trade rumors. Will the Rams really trade Cooper Kupp? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor. Join the party, head to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Also, let me know in the comment section, do you think the Rams should trade wide receiver Cooper Kupp? My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade. 24/7 Sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation, the Rams for Locked On. Also, if you're into radio, I'm also the NFL studio host for Westwood One's coverage of the NFL, so you can find me on radio as well. And I'm joined by no one today because Mr. Travis Rogers is out for today's episode, but we've got a jam-packed show for you. Will the Rams trade Cooper Kupp? Should the Rams trade Cooper Kupp? We've got the latest on the Cooper Kupp trade rumors. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, so let's dive into the latest on Cooper Kupp. So according to a report by Diana Rossini of The Athletic, it was also confirmed by the Rams beat reporter for The Athletic, the great Jordan Rodriguez, the Rams are definitely open to trading Cooper Kupp, and they'd even be willing to eat some of his salary to facilitate a move. Rossini said, if the Rams are willing to take on the salary, and I've heard they're willing to do that, they are definitely open to trading Cooper Kupp, so we'll see if they'll be able to get a deal done. Now, Cooper Kupp's base salary this season is $15 million. So there's about $6.2 million of it that's already been paid by the Rams so far this season. So that leaves $8.8 million that they owe to him, which would be paid by any team that trades for him. So you go on to tweet, the Rams have called multiple teams about trading former Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp. Sources tell Mike Silver, Jordan Rodriguez, and me. The Rams have indicated a willingness to take on some of the 24 salary and are seeking a second round pick. So first, let's start right there. A second-round pick for Cooper Kupp. But now, if you look at the market for receivers right now, this morning, the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that was rumored to be interested in adding Cooper Kupp, but they don't have a lot of cap space, so there wasn't a lot of room to make a deal. The Rams would have had to take on a big chunk of that. They traded for DeAndre Hopkins this morning from the Tennessee Titans, and they traded a conditional fifth-round pick. Devontae Adams, he went for a conditional third-round pick. Amari Cooper went for a third-round pick. Now, Cooper Kupp has missed 18 games in the last 3 seasons. Cooper Kupp has had multiple injuries throughout his career. 2018, of course, he had that torn ACL. And you look at his playing time and the games he's missed in recent seasons, he's played in 23 of a possible 40 games over the past 2+ years. And he's dealt with ankle injuries. He's dealt with hamstring injuries. And it's just not reasonable to think you can get a second-round pick without taking on a big chunk of what's remaining of his salary. Now, if I were the Rams and I was hell-bent on moving Cooper Kupp, absolutely I would do that to try to get a higher pick. Try to get as high of a pick as you possibly can, because right now you'd be lucky to get a 4th or 5th-round pick for him based on the injury history and the market for wide receivers and the cost of doing business, right? And we know that the haters out there will say settle for less, and that anytime there's any drama, any trade rumors, you kind of just go out there and you facilitate a trade and you just move on. Now, I think that if you're the Rams in this situation, you have to ask yourself this question. One, does Cooper Kupp want to retire soon? And I know that might be shocking, but Aaron Donald retired last year, right? And that came to a shock to a lot of fans out there, to a lot of people in the NFL, considering he still had a lot of gas left in the tank. He still was playing at a Pro Bowl level. Well, Cooper Kupp is 31 years old. Cooper Kupp has dealt with a multitude of injuries that have had limited his ability to go out there and be the Super Bowl MVP, to be the Triple Crown winner, to be that guy that we know he is when he's at full strength. Maybe he's indicated to the organization that he's going to be hanging him up. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you have to consider every scenario. And if that's the case, hey, he does a solid to the Rams by helping them get a draft pick, and the Rams do a solid for him by getting him on a team where he can compete for a Super Bowl. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying that that could be a scenario. I mean, you look at his production this season, 18 receptions for 147 yards and 1 touchdown in 2 games this season. He can still help a lot of teams in the NFL. He's not the Triple Crown Cooper Kupp right now, and the injury risk is always one play away, but there are a lot of teams that have needs, and we'll talk about some potential teams that could trade for him even after the Kansas City Chiefs are out of the Cooper Kupp sweepstakes in a second. But if you're the Rams, I think you have to consider this as well. You are 2-4 at this point. You're playing the Vikings on Thursday Night Football, a team that just lost to the Detroit Lions. And the Lions are a team that, hey, every team that loses to them essentially has lost the following week, and you're playing on a short week. It's at SoFi Stadium. If you're the Rams and you win that game to go to 3-4, and then the very next week you go up to Seattle and you beat a Seahawks team that they're not great either, you're firmly in the mix in the NFC West. It's not a great division. Everyone thought the 49ers were just going to run away with this division, but they've been decimated by injuries this season. The Seahawks, you still play twice, and if you beat that Vikings team on Thursday, which will not be easy, but if you find a way to get a win on Thursday Night Football at SoFi Stadium, well, you're in a 3-way tie for second place. And then you go on to play the Seahawks the very next week, and every little win, you increase the optimism. And then you add the fact that you're only going to get healthier with the return of Puka Nacua, who was just designated to return from IR. They opened the 21-day practice window. He's going to be back soon. When he was healthy last season, he was a top 5 to 10 receiver as a rookie. And then you're going to get Jonah Jackson and Steve Avila back. There is definitely promising injury news that's in the Rams' favor right now. And if you think that you can win this division, maybe you say, let's keep Cooper Kupp. We got Matthew Stafford, and having Cooper Kupp back is going to take Stafford back to where we know he's capable of playing. And that's one of the best 5 to 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. And that, along with Puka Nacua, it's going to charge up this offense in a big way. Now, that's the positive spin, is that you don't want to punt on this season. The other way you can look at it is that maybe the Rams feel like they can also contend for the division. They can also make a run at the playoffs, and it doesn't include Cooper Kupp, because last season they were 3-6, and then Puka Nacua emerged, and they still were able to make a run at the playoffs and win 10 games, and they were the surprise team in the NFL, and that was largely without Cooper Kupp dealing with that hamstring injury, and Puka Nacua really just became a star. So I think there's a world where that's a possibility. But the truth of the matter is if you're the Rams and you're ready to move off of Cooper Kupp and you want to try to get a draft pick and you want to try to accelerate this rebuild, if you're going to go enter that, it doesn't have to be a down-to-the-studs rebuild. It can be a rebuild where you go out there and you say, okay, we want to get as high of a draft pick we can, because, look, cap space, unless you're going out there and acquiring players via trade, it's not going to help you that much. The draft picks are going to help you, especially when you consider how the Rams have drafted over the last couple seasons. A couple years ago, you get Puka Nacua in the 5th, but even before that, Steve Avila, you hit on him with your highest pick that year early in the 2nd round. He went on to be one of the better offensive linemen as a rookie. He has the versatility, can play guard, can play center, and we're going to see how he played center, and then Jonah Jackson emerged, and you see how he could play guard as well, but he's someone you hit on. Then you also hit on Kobe Turner, Byron Young, and then you also add the fact that Jared Verse is already one of the very best pass rushers, one of the very best edge rushers when it comes to applying pressure in the National Football League as a rookie. You hit on Braden Fisk. I mean, this team continues to nail the draft. So if you're going to go out there and you want to soften the blow by trading a Cooper Kupp, who, let's be honest, he's an iconic Ram. He's a Ram for life, no matter what uniform he wears, whatever helmet he puts on, because of what he did in 2021, because of him being that indelible image that you think of when you think of Super Bowl 56, along with Aaron Donald and Matthew Stafford and the plays that they made as well. I mean, Cooper Kupp, the for love of the game route against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, we can go play after play. But, yeah, I mean, look, sometimes you have to accept that teams are going to make business decisions and that this is a business. And it hurts to think about Aaron Donald retiring last year and you trading Cooper Kupp this year, but the NFL comes at you fast. And for this team to be proactive, I would rather them do that than just continue to run it back if they didn't think that a Super Bowl was attainable. Remember, for this city, in this town, it's a city of champions. It's Los Angeles. The Rams are trying to compete with the Lakers and the Dodgers and other NFL teams, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Packers, all these teams that people in LA have grown to be fans of because the Rams were out of town for so many years. They know that to make inroads in this town, you have to continue to make Super Bowls. So I think the mentality has to always be whatever the move is, it has to be with the Super Bowl in mind, not the division win, not an NFC championship, not winning a couple playoffs. It's how do you hoist the Lombardi trophy? If they feel like this accelerates that and that's the plan, then you do it. But I also think that this team is not as far off from contending this season, at least for a playoff spot, right? I mean, 3 of your 4 losses are from 7 points or less. You're getting healthy. You still have Stafford and McVay. But the truth is, if the Rams feel like they can get a pick to expedite a rebuild, it's their job as an organization to explore everything and do their diligence. But another big question is, what does Cooper Kupp have to say about this? Will this be a distraction to the team? Well, coming up next, we're going to hear what Cooper Kupp has to say about these trade rumors. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Now, speaking of baseball games, basketball games, the NFL, hockey, all the sports are basically sporting right now. And if you want to go see the Rams, if you want to go to the World Series, well, there's a million things you can do in this town, but you need a ticket. And where are you going to get that ticket? Where are you going to get those tickets? Go to Gametime. Put the Gametime app on your phone because Gametime makes getting tickets to live events even easier than before. Gametime takes all the fluff away to show you only the incredible deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste your time looking at thousands of tickets. You want to go see playoff baseball? You want to go see the World Series? Want to go to the Lakers game, the Rams game? You want to see the Kings or the Ducks, college football, USC, UCLA, whatever it is, Gametime has you covered. And the closer you get to Gametime, the actual Gametime, the lower the prices are going to get. So put the Gametime app on your phone. Curation makes it easy to save on sports, comedy, and concerts, anything that's going on in your area, so that takes the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account. Terms apply. Redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. What time is it? Game time. Okay, so let's talk about Prize Picks. Prize Picks needs to be on your phone. What are you waiting for with that Prize Picks app? Pop it on there, and now you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. If you get up to 4 right, you win up to 100 times your money. And right now, when you sign up with Prize Picks, you're going to get $50 instantly when you place just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. And right now, what isn't there to play Prize Picks on? You like the NHL, you can do that. You like Major League Baseball, Dodgers fans, you can bet on the World Series. It's a great way to play Prize Picks. And of course, they're all over the NFL. Justin Jefferson, more or less than 83.5 yards this week. Hey, do you want to bet on that against your Rams? You can do that. I hope he doesn't get that. Now, this is Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less, but you can't do it without that promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Right. One more time. That's download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDON NFL, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Question is, are you a member of that 5 episodes a week club? If you're not, definitely join, definitely watch or listen to a Locked On Rams episode 5 days a week. Cannot thank you how much we appreciate those everyday listeners. So definitely get on that so you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. But here in our second segment, we are going to dive into Cooper Kupp's comments yesterday when he was asked about these trade rumors. And Kupp was asked about being involved in the rumors, what he thought about it, and here's what Kupp had to say. He said, yeah, I'm aware of it, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be where my feet are. That's all I know. I have a job to do here, and I take a lot of pride in giving everything I can for the guys in this building and being able to step on the field knowing that I've been prepared to be the best that I can. For 7.5 years, I have been an LA Ram, and I've taken that approach every single day. Whatever happens outside of that, I have to control what I can control. Right now, that means being the best LA Ram that I can be, and I'm going to do that. So that is a lot of, okay, I'm just going to say the right thing. I'm going to say be where my feet are, that I'm doing the best for this organization. But what he didn't say was, yeah, I'm not getting traded. Yeah, I want to retire as a Ram. Yeah, I want to stay here for my entire career. So that was very well done by Cooper Kupp. If you are an organization that is either looking to explore a trade, willing to make a trade, trying to make a trade, or even working with the player to facilitate a trade. So nothing too much to take away from that other than, yeah, the guy is extremely professional, and whatever team he's currently playing for, he's going to give it 100% effort. It's not going to be a holdout situation. He's not offended by it. He understands it's a business. So for someone like Cooper Kupp that's always been a high character guy, said the right things, done the right things, that doesn't come as a surprise. And then he was asked if there was any communication by the Rams about a potential trade, and Kupp said, nothing really, no, it is that time of the year. There's going to be rumors and things that go around. I let that stuff as much as I can be in the background and just kind of handle my business. So if you're the Rams, Kupp has said all the right things. And if you're the Rams and you're looking to trade him, you want to maximize your return for him and get as high of a draft pick as you can for him. You hope he plays this Thursday, and he plays well. 150 yards, 2-3 touchdowns. Looks like the Cooper Kupp of old. And then you can try to maximize your return. Now, my question is, what does this do for the Rams culture if you do trade him and you still want to contend this year? Puka Nacua said about the rumors, I hope that's not true. That's somebody in our locker room, a captain, and especially like being able to say somebody I've grown a brother relationship with. So what does this mean for the development of Puka Nacua? I mean, they worked all off season together. Puka Nacua said before the year that he would vomit in Cooper Kupp's bushes because he pushed him so hard, and you've seen Puka Nacua's body look extremely more lean than it was last season. So yeah, then there's the Matthew Stafford factor. There was a rumor that was floating about the Vikings and a potential trade for Matthew Stafford. To me, that felt a little hashtag trust me, bro. That wasn't substantiated by national insiders. So not saying that's not true, but I think we're going to wait till national insiders report that as a possibility before going into it. And if you look at where the Rams stand right now, if you were going to make those significant trades of Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, well, you're looking at about $100 million in dead cap. And yeah, I mean, we can have the debate, is cap meaningless? I mean, you could borrow from the future, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, the truth of the matter is I think if you're the Rams and you're pursuing a rebuild, which I have sources that have told me within the Rams that last season, that's where they were headed. And it was pretty much widely accepted that a rebuild was going to happen. But they caught fire. They caught lightning in a bottle, is what I was told. And that they made that miraculous run. They made the playoffs, and they said, you know what? I mean, hey, if we're going to contend, we're going to contend. I mean, they're an organization that is very competitive, and they realize they still have an elite quarterback and an elite head coach. So they went along with it, and then they were hit with the big blow of the Aaron Donald retirement, and they still went out there and they made some pretty aggressive win-now type moves. You bring in a Trey White, who hasn't worked out yet, but that's a win-now move on a one-year deal. You went and got Darius Williams, who definitely improved the cornerback play in the secondary, really helped Kobe Durant's development, and Cam Curls looked a lot better lately. Quinn Lake has continued to emerge the team's best tackler. So the secondary has improved with that. And you go and get a Jonah Jackson. You bring back Kevin Dotson. So there were indications by what they actually did, the reality this offseason, they were pursuing a championship, that they want to contend in the division. But I think for them as a group, the most important thing is that Sean McVay is still 100% bought in. And that was the case last season, even when they were really staring down the barrel of a rebuild. So that's the most important thing is, yes, it really hurts that Aaron Donald retired. Yes, it really hurts that they could potentially trade Cooper Kupp. Yes, it hurts that they could trade Matthew Stafford. But the biggest blow would be if Sean McVay didn't want to be a part of a rebuild. And the truth is that he's committed to this organization long term, and that's really the only thing that I think that this organization wouldn't be able to overcome in the short term. And it could be years before you find someone like Sean McVay. You might never find another Sean McVay. That's how good of a coach he is. I definitely am of the belief that he's one of the top 1, 2, or 3 most valuable coaches, not just in the NFL, but in all of professional sports. So the fact that he is still as committed to this organization, even with these rumors, even with the injuries, even with the possibility of a rebuild. That's what I take comfort in, because in McVay we trust. So it's tough, and you're going to go through these situations when you're having a competitive football team. And I always say what must be done eventually should be done immediately. And what this organization does is they do things immediately when they feel it's time. They don't kick the can down the road, because they realize, just like the San Francisco 49ers, look at teams out there, that as quickly as you can be a Super Bowl contender, you can have what happened in 2022, where you fall off a cliff and it's because of injuries. It's tough to predict those. It happens, and it really changes the calculus of your roster build. But coming up, what teams could trade for Cooper Kupp? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Let's talk about FanDuel, NFL fans. You can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, of course, America's #1 sportsbook. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game and you think now may not be a bad time to get in there and check out all the latest stats, you can view live play-by-play. And, of course, there's so much more on the same page where you're placing your bets. So we're going to get you started at FanDuel with $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed when you play your first $5 bet. Let me say it again. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Now let's take a look at what's going on with the Rams and what their game looks like this Thursday. So the Rams 3-point underdogs against the Vikings on Thursday Night Football. So if you think the Rams can win, you got a good bet there to place, and you can win some money. And there's this and so much more over at FanDuel.com. And there's a good way to play. Just go to FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app on your phone. They're going to get you started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, so where will Cooper Kupp end up? Which teams are going to be in the mix for getting him in their building? Well, the team that was mainly linked to him early on when these rumors started to surface was the Kansas City Chiefs. You have Rashee Rice out for the year. The Chiefs are continuing to win games, undefeated this season. You have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, so you're going to go for it while they're in their primes. Well, the Rams did have conversations with the Chiefs, and both organizations did try to see how you could possibly get a deal done. At least they had conversations, right? Well, the issue with the Chiefs was you only had $4.16 million in cap space as of right now, so the Rams would have had to take on a major portion of Kupp's remaining salary in order to get a deal consummated. And I think that the good thing about those rumors, if you're the Rams, was it definitely, I think, boosted Cooper Kupp's stock. The fact that an organization like the Chiefs went out there and said, we want Cooper Kupp. He's our number one target, right? We ended up getting Hopkins, but Kupp was the guy we wanted. I mean, imagine him in that slot for the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. It could have been a lethal combination if Cooper Kupp remained healthy. So I think that helps the Rams in this situation as far as building his stock. And now the other teams that could be interested, well, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? You lost Mike Evans, who's on my fantasy team. I hate this. He's going to be out for a significant amount of time, could be until week 11 dealing with that hamstring injury. You just lost Chris Godwin due to a dislocated ankle. That was in the final minute of the game. Then you add the fact that they have Liam Cohen. That's their offensive coordinator. He was with the Rams, of course, previously. He would probably love to get back with Cooper Kupp, and it'd be hopefully a seamless transition where you could hit the ground running. And then also there's the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have $10.5 million in cap space to work with. So the Buccaneers are certainly a team that has what you need to get a deal done, and they have the need to add another receiver. So there's a lot to like there if you're the Buccaneers. Then how about the Baltimore Ravens? I mean, the Ravens are a team that Cooper Kupp could get you over the top. The Ravens are a team that's ready to win right now. You still have Lamar Jackson in his prime. If you look at that receivers room, you got Zay Flowers. You have tight end Mark Andrews has really started to come along. Isaiah Likely. So imagine that group with Cooper Kupp in the mix. You're competing with the Chiefs. And if you're the Ravens, how about you get Cooper Kupp? And then that's your answer to the Chiefs getting Hopkins. So I think that it's an arms race in the AFC right at the top. And you give a Lamar Jackson a Cooper Kupp, I mean, that'd be a great target in the slot over the middle and could potentially be the best overall receiver that he's had there. So that's an option as well. The Steelers are interesting because they were interested in Davante Adams before he was traded to the Jets. That's a team that could use him. I mean, you look at the receivers there. You got George Pickens, who had a big game against the Jets in Russell Wilson's debut, but they could certainly use him in the slot. So if they're interested in a receiver. Also, the Dallas Cowboys, a team that doesn't really get too involved when it comes to player acquisitions at the deadline. But, hey, you're desperate in Dallas. I mean, you have a team that the defense has given up a ton of points. The offense has been lackluster. And then Brandon Cooks, he's out. You got CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of butter knives, a bunch of unproven receivers. So that's a move you can make. And we all saw what happened in 2018. They went out there and they traded a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. Since then, they've been quiet on the trade front, but that's Jerry Jones for you. Then what about the New Orleans Saints? Saints were another team that was heavily rumored to be involved for Davante Adams. They're a team that could want another star receiver. They have lost 5 games in a row, and Derek Carr is out with an oblique injury. So they probably aren't that aggressive to adding a receiver. You also have $2.1 million in cap space if you're the Saints, so that's going to be difficult to get a deal done. But you talk about all these teams that are interested in adding a receiver with Davante Adams, and it's possible. Then how about the other LA team, the Chargers? I mean, the Chargers are a team that needs to add offense. I mean, you saw their last game against the Cardinals. He's had Justin Herbert going out there, and he still has one of the better arms in the NFL. You're only able to get 5 field goals. You can't punch it into the end zone. They're a team that you get a couple pieces here, and then you're looking like a real legitimate playoff team. And I think if you're the Chargers, you add Jim Harbaugh, you want to have success in year 1. So, hey, he doesn't have to change stadiums. I think that one's a little less likely. So I don't think that's definitely the number one target there. I think the Buccaneers make a ton of sense for a team that could use him. I mean, they saw in 2021 what he was able to do for the love of the game route. But, yeah, it hurts to say this. It hurts to talk about this. It's not fun to talk about this. I know that if I'm out and about and I get the notification on my phone, I'll be at Chipotle. I'll fall on my knees in the middle of a Chipotle if I get the notification that the Rams have traded Cooper Kupp. I don't care what they get back for him. It definitely will hurt just knowing that he's someone that feels like a Rams lifer, that he should retire in a Rams uniform. But this is the NFL. I mean, this is the NFL. You have to accept this is a possibility because this is how this league operates, and you have to trust this organization. The truth of the matter is this is the organization that has won a Super Bowl. This is the organization that has gotten it done in recent memory, where outside of the injury years, they've been perennial contenders every single season, save for a couple years where they were decimated by those injuries. A lot of teams try to do what the Rams do. A lot of teams try to go out there and F them picks to try to boost their chances of winning the Lombardi Trophy. But you know what they skip? They skip that part where they actually win the Super Bowl. The Rams have proof of concept. The Rams should have your trust by now, knowing that they are all about Super Bowls. That's the one thing I can tell you about this organization. They're all about Super Bowls. Some organizations in smaller markets, the Tennessees of the world, the Jacksonvilles of the world, look, yeah, they want to win Super Bowls, but they want to have good seasons. They want to be consistent. They want to try to just not be embarrassing, right? The Rams are a team that realizes that to continue to grow their fan base, to continue to fight off the other teams in this market, that you not only have to be good, you literally have to win Super Bowls, and I think win in an entertaining fashion. So I give this organization a lot of credit for having their eyes on the future and not waiting around to try to put a product on the field that they don't think is going to ultimately win the Super Bowl. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. We get the latest on anything Cooper Kupp. The minute anything happens, we'll do an emergency episode. So definitely stay locked on Rams here. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.